Hello, Dr. Bill. Today you're one of the most famous dentists in the world. But let's go back to the times when it's all started. Why did you decide to become a dentist?
Well, it was kind of a weird thing. I fell down when I was a little kid and I knocked out my baby teeth. And we just had a really great family dentist. And instead of being scared and, he really calmed me down, and I became very interested in the whole process of, what he was doing. And so even as a little kid, I started not just going to the dentist for me, but watching him and observing him with other people. And one day it just stuck. I thought, I'm going to do this. I'll be a dentist.
Can you share about your university time? Where did you study and what kind of student you was?
Well, I started at UCLA. I did 4 years undergraduate there, and then I went to University of the Pacific Dental School. And then after that, I did a residency program in Switzerland. So I went to Lausanne, Switzerland, and I worked there for 2 years. I came back, and I was in this same building, and this was 1986 that I started working here in Century City.
Why did you decide to did your 2-year residency in Switzerland?
I grew up really poor. I never traveled. I hadn't been anywhere. And I thought, if I'm going to start a dental practice, I'll never really have an opportunity to go out and live somewhere else. I could travel, but I really wanted to experience what it was like to live in a different culture and whatnot. And Switzerland was the only place that let Americans practice with an American license, as long as I worked in the hospital there. So I applied for this job. Now, there were 400 applicants, and there's no reason they should have picked me. We'll talk a little bit about my LEAP program, but one of the things I tell kids at LEAP is that successful people are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And I called the director of the clinic and called him, and I sent him letters of recommendation. And when I still realized that I probably wouldn't get hired, one day I just said to him, and I tell this to kids at LEAP, there will be times in your life when you have life-defining moments. And this was one of them, where I basically said, can I take you to lunch? And I don't even know why I said that, because it wasn't something I had planned. I just did. But when I said that to him, he said, yeah, sure. And the crazy thing is, I had no money. I couldn't even afford an airplane ticket. But I flew there, I took him to lunch, and he hired me. And I was the only one of 400 who did that.
That's great. What do you think is the main difference between United States dentistry and Europe dentistry?
Oh my gosh. First of all, you can't just say European dentistry, because every country is different. Switzerland and Germany and Scandinavia have very, very, advanced state-of-the-art dentistry, whereas, Spain, Portugal, Italy, maybe a little bit different than ours. So, every country is a little bit different. But I think one of the things that makes our dentistry really better in a weird way is all the lawsuits. Here, if you do something and you don't do a good job, people will sue you. In many parts of the world, as a patient, you're a victim and there's nothing you could do. So to a certain degree, I think it holds us to a higher standard, because if we don't perform the way we should, we get in trouble. All right, so this is my office. It looks a little special because my birthday is special, so we celebrate big time every year. They call it Bill-tember instead of September. This is the reception area. You can see we've accommodated for COVID by turning all of the chairs so people can stay apart from each other. As you come in the office, we kept it very open and airy. All of the operatories in the office are pretty much the same. The dimensions and everything are the same, and we have a beautiful view out of Beverly Hills. Then back in here, we have a laboratory. So this is where we do our lab work, sterilization, all of the custom finishing for porcelain and everything we do right here. We have ovens. There's the Hollywood sign. If it's not so misty, you could see it way up in the hills over there, but it's too foggy today from the fires. But here's sterilization. This is a CAT scan that we do. So we do CAT scan and Panorex here. This is the old X-ray room where we used to develop X-rays. We don't need to do that anymore because it's all digital. And then as you come down here, all these operatories are pretty much the same. Here's a little alcove for X-rays. This is an interesting area where patients can come and look at their teeth and see them in 3 different mirrors. And then back in here, we have a little break room. And then this is my private office. That's pretty much it. So we have 8 operatories.
Did you remember your first patient?
My very first patient?
Yes.
Well, actually, your first patient is one of your comrades in dental school. You work on each other. So it was
no, the
Arden.
first patient, not from dental school.
No, I don't remember. It was almost 40 years ago. I don't remember who it was.
You started like a general dentist, right?
So in the U.S., there are different specialties. Even though I am a cosmetic dentist and I am accredited and a fellow in the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, that is not a board certified specialty like orthodontics is. Endodontics, root canals is, periodontics, pedodontics, all those are called, board, that is a board certified specialty. But I am a general dentist who does cosmetic dentistry, and I have a fellowship and an accreditation in an academy that kind of shows that I've done a little bit more than the average dentist.
Друзья, коллеги, всем привет! Все вы знаете, насколько важно планирование в работе врача. А иметь доступ к своему рабочему расписанию и владеть полной информацией о пациенте на экране своего смартфона уже давно стало необходимостью. И сегодня стоматологический рынок активно атакует приложения, которые помогают нам систематизировать нашу работу. И сегодня я вас познакомлю с одним из таких приложений. Оно называется iDentist Premium. И давайте посмотрим, что оно умеет. У нас открывается такой вот календарь. И здесь мы можем вписать, например, какого-то пациента. Завтра, например, к нам придет Брэд Питт. Вот мы здесь выбираем дату. Дальше мы можем выбрать цвет его зубов. Шучу, не цвет зубов. Это просто можно сортировать пациентов по каким-то определенным категориям. Дальше выбираем время. Допустим, там мы принимаем его с 11:30 до 12:30. Можно вот план лечения какой-то набросать, например, удаление центрального зуба Брэду Питту. Также можно включить напоминание, чтобы мы не забыли, что у нас будет такой пациент и что мы будем ему делать. Какой-то можно написать текст, например, взять за это $2000, например. Эта программа имеет возможность синхронизации между всеми вашими устройствами. Одновременная работа для нескольких врачей позволяет создать список пациентов с указанием его персональных данных, анамнеза, эпикриза и истории болезни. Также можно добавить целую галерею рентгеновских снимков и фотографий ваших работ. Если вам, к примеру, нужно собрать статистику заработанных средств или создать свои собственные процедуры с указанием их стоимости, то эта программа также позволяет это сделать. И что нравится лично мне, она помогает создать целую систему напоминаний о приеме пациента. Это приложение может быть как платным, так и бесплатным. Если хотите просто попробовать, что это за приложение, Просто скачиваете его и получаете весь функционал платного приложения, но вы сможете создать файлы только на 10%. Если вы принимаете не больше 10% в год, то это окей. Если понравилось и хотите больше, то ежегодный платеж составляет $69, и вы получаете полный безлимит. У ребят есть свой YouTube-канал, где они более подробно рассказывают о функциональных возможностях этого приложения. Я прикреплю ссылку на их канал в описании под этим видео. Там же вы найдете ссылку на скачивание этого приложения из магазина. We don't have a lot of information about you in Russia, but we know about your one product, your startup, your organization that is called Discuss Dental. You started when you was 30, right? You started this company, and you started, as I know, it from nothing, and built the empire and sold this company for $1.3 billion.
Not exactly.
Can you tell the whole story about this company?
Well, first, let me explain something.
Sure.
We started the company in around 1990. We sold it 20 years later in 2010. Mm-hmm. Our gross sales were $1.3 billion. We did not sell the company for $1.3 billion. I wish we did, but we did okay. So the inception of Discus Dental really happened because there was this proliferation of all these whitening products, and none of them were great. And I would sit here and I'm using them. I'm like, why isn't it flavored? And why isn't the packaging more like a cosmetic? And why are the directions not clear? And just a lot of things. And, I talked to the companies that were the leaders at the time. I said, hey, I want to help you. Not even for money. I didn't want to get paid. I just wanted to help make a better product. And they're like, nah, we don't need your help. So there's been a common theme in my life, and any time that I've actually philanthropically dedicated myself to giving back, somehow that turned into an opportunity for me to do business and make money, not by choice. So I was invited to participate in this fundraiser. It was a silly thing. It was I'm a big fitness guy, so I'm at the gym working out, and a woman says, Dr. Bill, would you like to help raise money for children's cancer research? I said, sure. She said, you are a dentist, correct? I said, yes. She goes, and you're single, aren't you? I said, yes, but that's weird. Why are you asking me? She goes, well, we're doing a bachelor auction, and we need to sell 10 men. Now, it sounded kind of stupid, but I said, okay. And actually, the bachelor auction was stupid. There were 1,000 women. They sold us for money. But the thing that wasn't stupid was I met my best friend there, the man in that picture up there, Robert Heyman. Mm-hmm. And Robert, he is the son of Fred Heyman. Fred Heyman created Giorgio Cosmetics. Fred Heyman created Beverly Hills. That was his idea. That was his concept. And so Robert had an MBA. He had a background in marketing and advertising and product development and manufacturing. And together we made Night White, the first whitening product of our company. And Night White grew and grew and grew. And then right around 2001, 2002, we put out Zoom. Mm-hmm. And the timing on Zoom was great, and it was right at the same time that ABC started this new show called Extreme Makeover. Mm-hmm. And again, I had another life-changing moment when I was interviewed by Extreme Makeover. I asked them if I could highlight Zoom on every episode and be the only dentist on the show, and they said yes. And so that's how Zoom became so popular, because now we are on primetime TV every night, and I get to talk about our whitening product. And it exploded. Our sales jumped from, we had grown 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 16 million. We kind of plateaued at about 76 million in sales. The first year that I went on Extreme Makeover, we jumped to 101, then 136 the next year, and then almost 200 million. in sales the third year. So it was enormous for our company.
Okay, can you show the zoom? It's the first one?
Yeah. So this is the zoom lamp that Discus Dental invented and we use. So you can tell your friends I invented Zoom.
Yeah.
Not video conference, but Zoom.
Okay. So you founded the formula.
The whole thing. We invented the light, the everything.
Did you remember your first time on TV?
My first time on TV, I do remember. It's funny because it was on the home show, and funny enough, that show went off the air. It came back, and they had me on the show again, like 25 years later, with Bruce Jenner, right before he became Caitlyn Jenner. So that was an epic moment.
What TV show are you proud the most?
Probably of all the shows I've done, the one that had the biggest impact at the time was Extreme Makeover. You have to understand, dentistry never had a positive spin in the media. You know, you start with Marathon Man, Little Shop of Horrors. These were all horrible for dentistry. You know, they made fun of dentists. They made us look like villains or creature or whatever. You know, this is the first time ever that I got to show the world, not just America, the world, all the great things that dentistry could do. And at the end of the day, when these people were nipped and tucked and had everything done, and you said to them, what made the biggest difference? Their teeth. That was the impetus for my book, you know, $1 Billion Smile. So you look up there, see Body for Life? That's Bill Phillips. And Bill Phillips has been my friend and patient forever. And at the time, there were a lot of books on body and fitness and exercise and working out. Nobody had ever done a book about a smile.
Yeah.
And a publisher came to me and said, hey, why don't we do a book about smiles? And so I literally took a year with my good friend Paul Lombardi, and we did this, and it became a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So I'm the only dentist who's on the New York Times bestseller list, and the only dentist who wrote a book about teeth on the New York Times bestseller list. But this was a big hit, and all the money that we made from this book, we donated to children's charities. In fact, we donated it to my LEAP program. And
we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but all the money from the book went to LEAP.
What helps you to combine the dental practice and the life of TV star?
Well, first of all, I would definitely not consider myself a TV star. I mean, maybe at best a TV personality. But, you know, becoming a TV personality was work. You know, I mean, one of the things I really stress for kids who go to LEAP is this. One, don't wait for opportunities in life, make them. You know, I didn't wait to get hired in Switzerland. I made that happen. I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked, and I sent, you know, letters of recommendation, and I called, and I made that happen. And for so many young people today, they sit here and they think, oh, the universe is going to do something. The universe is very busy and doesn't care about any of us. Yeah. So you need to make things happen for you. And number two, when you do get a really great opportunity, don't take it. Master it.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. You know, when ABC hired me for Extreme Makeover, I stunk on TV. I was super bad. But instead of sitting there going, oh, wow, I'm so bad, I took classes. I took acting classes, hosting classes, teleprompting classes. I worked with a media trainer who literally taught me how to interview. I could do this whole interview today without you. I could just sit here and talk to the camera and do the whole thing. That's how much media training I've had, you know? So you need to become comfortable in what you're doing. And the goal was, the better I got doing that, the better I was on TV, the more product we sold, and on and on and on and on.
And what is the best way to master something?
Well, it depends on what the something is.
In dentistry.
You know, I mean, in dentistry, it also depends. Like, do you want to master the skill of actually doing dentistry? Do you want to master the skill of doing an interview? I mean, there's a lot of aspects, but I think the best thing you do is you work with mentors. You find people that can teach you. So the things that you're not as sufficient at, you learn. You find how to become better.
You are the founder of the LEAP, a non-profit organization that mentors high school and college students. Can you tell us more about this company? How did this idea come, and what is the main goal?
Well, I mean, the main goal of LEAP is literally to teach students skills to be successful in life. And the way that this came about is very funny. There was a little guy named Walter Haley who lived in Hunt, Texas, and he was an insurance man. And a lot of his clients were dentists. And he realized very quickly that these dentists don't know anything about business. And a lot of them were not making money and were really struggling. And so he started teaching courses to teach a dentist how to make money, right? Well, when these courses became popular, a lot of the people said, wow, I wish my kids could learn this. So he set up a program to teach students the same things he was teaching the adults. And then it wasn't really about dentistry, it was just business, right? I would come to his program every year and I would speak to the students. Well, Walter passed away. He was 85 and he passed away. And when he did, the program stopped. So I resurrected the program. I renamed it. We called it LEAP. I made it a nonprofit. And we did our 13th program this year. Now, every year it's at UCLA, live in person. This year, because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So instead, we made it a virtual program, and instead of 400 students, I had 1,000 students. So going forward, the program will from now on be a hybrid, where we'll have a live program and a virtual program at the same time.
We talked a lot about success. How would you define success?
How would I define success? You know, it comes in so many different forms. I mean, you know, success as a parent, success as a business, success as a husband, a partner, a wife, you know, I mean, there are so many different criteria, but I think overall, you know, when you have a goal and you work hard to achieve that goal, success. And hopefully you're happy at the same time, even better.
Yeah, it's the best. Can you name one thing that helps you to achieve everything?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the main thing is I will never fail. Ever. And really cool. The reason is that if I do something and it doesn't come out the way I planned, I'm not going to look at that as failure. I'm going to look at that as practice. And then I do it again and again and again and again and again if I need to. You really only fail when you quit. So when you do something, if it doesn't come out the way you want, don't beat yourself up and say, oh, I failed. No, you didn't fail. You tried, you practiced, you did not succeed, but you really only fail when you quit. So if I want to do something, I will never quit. And I may practice a lot. I may have to do it a lot of times before I get it right. But I think that that's really the key to my success, is I refuse to fail. And there's another thing too that you have to think about in this whole concept. There's a saying in English, and I don't know if you know it in Russian, practice makes perfect. And it's very common. Practice makes permanent. It doesn't make perfect. If you practice something wrong all the time, you'll never be perfect.
Sure.
Practice makes permanent. How do I do interviews? I have done hundreds, thousands of interviews over and over and over and over again, to the point where, honestly, even if and you're not, but even if I'm being interviewed by somebody who's not good at interviewing, I can still do a good interview because I know what I'm going to say. You can't ask me a question that I can't answer. It's impossible. And I'll tell you why. This is something I learned in media training. And this is so many people, if they know they're going to be interviewed, they get super nervous. Like super nervous. I never get nervous, ever. Not even a little. Why? If you ask me something and I don't want to answer it, I just don't. I talk about something else. The public doesn't even care. For instance, let's say you said to me, hey, Dr. Bill, how much money do you have in the bank? That's not your business. It's not their business. It's nobody's business. I'm not going to say that. So what do you say? You know what? That's not really important. What I love to talk about is fitness. Boom. You see, you just change the subject, and the audience doesn't even care because they want to hear what I want to say. You see? And instead of me saying, I'm not going to answer that, if I say that, I look like a jerk. Like, you know what I mean? So you don't have to do it. It's really easy. It's called media training. You know, if somebody asks me a question that's uncomfortable, I don't want to answer, I just change the subject and I talk about something that's great and fun and interesting, and people don't even know.
So how much money do you have on your bank account?
Yeah, let's talk about fitness.
Let's go back to this. Okay, you are 62 years, but you look like 25 or maybe less.
And maybe less.
What helps you to keep so good fit?
No Russian.
It's fitness or
no
bank account?
No Russian vodka ever. No, I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I go to the gym every day and I lead a healthy life. I work out. I eat well. I rest well. You know, I'm 62 years old next week. In my entire life, I never had one bad night's sleep. Never. I lay down, boom, I'm dead. In minutes. I usually fall asleep in 3 or 4 minutes every night. I rest. Even if I sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, my average is 6 hours, I'm almost like a machine. Really, it's kind of weird. Like, I lay down, I sleep. I wake up, my body is so regular and so regulated. I don't know. That's just the way I come. And here's another weird thing. Let's say, like today, I was going to wake up at 8 o'clock. So I set my alarm clock for 8 o'clock. I always wake up 1 or 2 minutes before 8. Like, almost every day. If I set it tomorrow for 9 o'clock, same thing. 10:15, 8:03, and whatever. It's so weird. And even if I went to Russia and I was in a different time zone, somehow there's this computer in my head that does this. It's really weird. Sometimes I really think I'm not human. I don't know.
Have you ever been to Russia?
I have been to Russia. I went to St. Petersburg. And I was supposed to go to Moscow, but there was a problem. But I had a beautiful, beautiful trip there. We stayed at the Europa Hotel. And it was amazing.
Can you name some Russian dentists that you know?
Zero.
Like this.
I don't know any Russian dentists. I mean, I know a few here. I know a few that are from Russia that practice here, but in Russia, no, I don't know any.
So me is the first one.
You the first one.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were a dentist till just now.
I'm a dentist.
No, you didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry about this.
Yeah.
let's talk about your book. Can you share the way from the concept, from idea to to becoming a New York Times bestseller?
Yeah. So at the time, Bill Phillips, and you should photograph that, wrote a book, Body for Life. Bill Phillips was a patient and friend of mine, and Bill had this New York Times best-selling book called Body for Life, and it became very, very popular. And at the time, there had never been a book really written about dentistry. So we came up with this idea to do Billion Dollar Smile. And yeah, that's it.
As I know, all the money you give to the children's charity. How much money it was?
I mean,
we
probably raised about $50,000 or $60,000 for children's charities through the book. We wrote this book in 2006, and 100% of the proceeds from this book went to the LEAP Foundation. And and we became a New York Times bestseller. So that was awesome.
I saw that you have 2 Guinness records.
Yeah. So my first Guinness World Book record was for $121,000 when I shaved my head for charity. So I had made a pledge to shave my head for money for LEAP. And I thought, as long as I have to do this, I might as well do it on TV. So I asked the producer of our show if we could do it on the doctors, and we did, and we raised $121,000 on the doctors when I shaved my head. My second one was with my patient Katy Perry, and she needed a grill for the Dark Horse video. And when we made that grill, I asked her makeup artist what the budget was, and he said like $1,500. And I said, why would we do something that cheap? So my friend owns a big jewelry store in Beverly Hills, and I went ahead and I took out $1 million worth of jewels on consignment for Katie. And we did the $1 Million Grill by Dr. Bill for the Dark Horse video. You want to know what makes a dentist successful?
Yes.
I will write a bunch of points. So
we are watched by a lot of young students, young professionals. What advice can you give them to become as successful as you are?
honestly, work your butt off. That's it. Work, work, work. Never give up, and be tenacious.